Hi there guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going over some of the most commonly asked questions we get asked about deal sourcing. So all over YouTube and Instagram we do often get asked a lot of questions and we absolutely love it, but usually the questions are around the same topic. So we thought in today's video it would be very valuable to go over some of the most common questions we get asked as deal sourcers. Now again, if you do have any other specific questions, then do be sure to comment them below or message us on Instagram at Premium Property Ltd. And now before we start the video, if you wouldn't mind just leaving a like and hopefully subscribing if you do enjoy the video, that would be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. So the first common question we usually get asked is, how long did it take you to get your first deal? So it took us around 5 whole months before we actually got our first deal. Now, we set up our company quite a while ago, but we were really just learning the ins and the outs. We didn't actually know what strategy we wanted to go for until we finally decided on deal sourcing. Now things didn't really start for us until September of 2020, where we finally picked our areas, picked our strategies that we're going to be sourcing, and then kind of went on from there. And we originally started deal sourcing in the Midlands because that's where we're based, but then we soon later found out that the Midlands wasn't the best place to source, especially for the clients we had and the type of deals we were sourcing, usually because they were just too expensive. And because of that, we decided to move up north. So the areas we cover now are Yorkshire and the northeast. So we sold our first deal in the first end of January of this year. So it really did all start to kick off this year, which was absolutely amazing. It was to a young investor who was basically looking to get onto the property ladder, and we managed to find and source him a really good turnkey buy to let. Now, if you want more information on all the deals we've done so far this year, do be sure to check out our last video, which is where I essentially break down figure to figure every single deal we've done this year and kind of outline all the figures, all the returns, all the costs, and all the photos. So to kind of answer your question, it took us 5 whole months before we actually sourced the deal. Now, this really does just go to show that it is a long game, and if you're only in it for a month or two, then it can get very demotivating after the 3rd, 4th, or 5th month when nothing really comes from it. But the key thing to remember is, it is just a long-term game. And I promise you, as soon as you get that first deal, it'll just accelerate from there. We hadn't sold a deal in 5 months, and as soon as we sold our first deal, we managed to sell another one the week after. But again, that's just how long it took us. It might take you less than 5 months, or it might take you more than 5 months. Again, we know many people where it took them less than 5 months or more than 5 months. It really does just come down to how you work. So that's question number 1, and that's essentially how long it took us to get our first deal. Now, question number 2, which we commonly get asked, is what is the best way that you can get into deal sourcing? Now, this is a great question, and like I said, one we get asked quite a bit. And again, in my opinion, the best way to get into deal sourcing is to first begin co-sourcing with another fully compliant sourcing company. Now, what I mean by this is, you could either bring the deal or the investor to the table and then work with that other sourcing company to sell that deal. So for example, say you've managed to find a deal, but you're struggling to sell it, you can work with another sourcing company who can sell that deal for you, and then you just split the fee 50-50, or it can work vice versa in the fact that you've got the investor, the other sourcing company have the deal that they're struggling to sell. You can match the two up and then split the fee after the deal has been completed. Now, this way you don't have to pay the setup costs to become a fully compliant sourcing company, and because you're working with another experienced sourcing company, you're also going to be learning loads from them. So essentially, say you've managed to do that first deal and you realize it's not really for you, then that's fine. You've got a lot of experience from it and you've just saved yourself a lot of money instead of actually setting up as a fully compliant sourcing company. So again, this is definitely the best way to get into deal sourcing. Just work with another sourcing company who have been doing it for a while. They've got a really good reputation, and if you build up a good relationship with them, work on a few deals with them, and just to see if it's something that you really are interested in or not. And if it's not for you, then that's fine. You can just move on to a different venture in property or just a different venture in general. This way you're saving money instead of actually setting up as a fully compliant sourcing company. But the main thing is you're actually going to learn so much from working with another sourcing company. If it's your first time in property and it's your first deal you're doing and you're co-sourcing it, you're going to learn so much rather than going in alone, not really understanding the process. So question number 3 that we most commonly get asked, and that is, what is the most important thing to get right when starting in deal sourcing? So when you're just starting out, I'd personally say that area is so important. You need to be able to find an area, study it, and just to make sure it's a really good area with a lot of opportunity. Now, I think the best way you can start this is to look in the area that you currently live in. Now again, this could be good or bad. We did did this as well. We're based in the Midlands, so we first originally started in the Midlands, but then within a few months we kind of realized that it wasn't for us, and then we moved to a different area. So again, you can do this as well, because if you can find your gold mine area and you're living in it, then that's perfect, because then again, you're going to be knowing the area like the back of your hand. You're going to know what works and what doesn't work. Now with an area, it's so important. You know, when we were sourcing in the Midlands, we didn't find a lot of opportunities. We were struggling to go on a viewing or two a week, and it was very difficult to get clients to actually invest in the Midlands. Ever since we've moved up north and into the northeast, you know, there's been a lot more opportunities. We're going around 15 viewings a week with hopes to put offers in on the majority of them, and our client base has also increased significantly. So again, that's the third question we commonly get asked, and in my opinion, it is just figuring out that area. Make sure you've got a really good area with a lot of opportunity. Now question number 4, and again this kind of relates to question number 2 about the co-sourcing. What is the setup cost for becoming a deal sourcer? Now the full setup cost varies slightly, but you know, if you do want to check that out, Harley did a video a couple months ago just detailing the whole process from start to finish and how much every individual thing costs with deal sourcing and, you know, actually setting up the company. So I'll be sure to link that below. But essentially it's going to cost you around £1,000 to £1,500 a year, which, you know, might sound like a lot, but in hindsight, once you've sold that first deal, you've really made all that money back. So again, this setup really kind of just includes everything from setting up your actual limited company to signing up with all the necessary boards and schemes just to make sure that you are legally trading. Now, although in the last question where I said the most important thing is the area, you also want to make sure that if you are looking to become a fully compliant company, that you do it legally. There are so many dodgy sources out there that don't think that they need the compliance, but it's so important, because, you know, if you source a deal and you've not got all that legal requirements behind you, then you can get in some serious trouble. So again, that's question number 4. Fairly straightforward. It costs around £1,000 to around £1,500 a year. Like I said, I'll just link below the video Harley did a couple months back, just outlining every single detail in the compliance stage. Now question number 5, and one of the most commonly asked one, even though a lot of individuals don't really say it towards us, subconsciously everyone's really thinking that, and it is how much money can you really make from deal sourcing. Now in terms of how much you can make, there really isn't any limit at all, but on average it's around £2,000 to £4,000 a deal. Again, this will vary deal to deal. You know, if it's just your very simple turnkey buy to let, you know, you might charge £2,000-3,000 for it. Whereas, you know, if it's a development opportunity, then you might want to charge an excess of £10,000 for it. It really is just relative to the actual deal you're sourcing. But obviously, if you are just sourcing, the best route to go down is, you know, very simple deals first, whether that's turnkey buy-to-lets, BRR, flip deals, and then over time you can progress into the more exclusive deals like development opportunities and so forward. Now with your sourcing fee, you kind of want to include as much as you can within that fee for your client. So again, a lot of investors will do this very differently, but we have a few things that we include within our fee to kind of make us stand out to other sources in the industry. So firstly, we include our fee in the figures. So again, we kind of class it as an expense for the investor. So say for example, that investor is looking for an ROI of say 15%. They're going to get that regardless of our fee, because again, we incorporate that within the figures. Something you don't really want to do is give all the figures to the investor, say, yeah, you've got a 25% ROI, but then add your fee on top of that, which basically means they've got about a 20% ROI or even less. So again, it's just a really good thing to do, and all of our clients really do appreciate it. And then secondly, again, this kind of tops our fee, and you know, this is kind of the thing we tend to prioritize the most, and that is the customer journey, and we try to do an end-to-end service with them. And that's everything for this video. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like and do consider subscribing. You know, if you do have any other more in-depth questions, then do feel free to comment them below, or do message us on Instagram at Premium Property Ltd. But until our next video on Saturday, we'll see you soon.